definitely want to be like cutting a little bit before then, so I can get like a cup of coffee going and shit. I can't even get.
We're live, Martin. We're
Yay!
live. Everybody. Martin did know. He just didn't realise I'd press the button. There. Good evening, everybody. Today is Friday, the 15th of February, 2019. Our Patricia was here, but she seems to be having internet problems, so we've lost her now. And we have the lovely Martin. Martin.
British, Martin speaking.
Hello, my darling.
Good to see you all.
I'm going to put the camera on you. You've got the camera on. Hey, the chat.
It's tricky a bit, my camera, but I'm using an extension. Sorry.
Yeah, busy man that you are now. You can't breathe now for the attention.
Oh man, that's nobody can keep up with that. I need a skyscraper full of secretaries. That would be epic. 12 pounds.
You're a secretary now.
I could achieve a lot if I had more, like, sort of, if I could manage it properly. I can't manage it, like, you know, especially with like things like translations. It's like I got a list of, you know, kind people, like for all sorts of, you know, Latin, German, Latin, Dutch, German, Italian, Latin, and summation, also summation languages. So I got like translators, but I can't like get the time together or anything. And this is being up all night long. I was up till 5 trying to catch up. It's just insane. To allocate, you know, certain works that I know are juice, but I can't like get shit together to be able to allocate work out to the great British think tank. It's really hard to manage at this stage.
How many emails do you get?
Sorry?
How many emails, you know, messages do you get?
Well, you sent me an email earlier and I tried to find it and it was 3 pages back, and that's just since then. It's earlier on today. So it just disappears under pages of emails. I don't know how I'm supposed to catch up with that. That's just insane. Thousands. I get like tens of thousands of comments a month. I get thousands of emails a week. Maybe 1,000.
And people send you links all the time, don't they?
All the juice from all of it's juice, though. You know, I can discern. I'll sniff for, like, you know, a lot of people send me my own work through other videos, which is like, you know, weird to see. They'll send me official narratives, and I don't. That's just discarded. Anything mainstream YouTube, I won't even look at once. So that's like I got to do a filter. So then. People send me every city on earth that's Italian type building. Somebody sent me a link this morning for Newcastle and Sunderland. I'm like, wow, how did that survive the Great Fire of Sunderland and of Newcastle then? Because the place got like burned to the ground. All of the northern cities did at exactly the same time. And you want to see it. They got griffins all over these great massive edifices. It's like, what? Newcastle, Sunderland. The link, no, it's absolutely insane. But who knew? And it's the old world, you know. They've even got giant griffins.
It's a strange name if you break it down, though, isn't it? It's sun under land.
All of the etymology and all these words are starting to make so much more sense now, especially in our country, of their origins and where this all originated from. The penny is starting to really drop on a lot of it. You know, it was just dot connecting, really, and, you know, ignoring official narratives, because if anyone's going to even think any of that's real, like, you know, the space bullshit, then they're going to be never getting anywhere. So what we've had to do is leave it all at the door, use the sources which are the best sources available to us on in the world. We're using the same sources as the academics use, and more. We're a little bit ahead of some of them with the sources. We really are. You know, I get academics contacting me for the sources, if that makes sense. Like, where are you getting this juice? I can't get that. I'm a PhD, sort of thing. So that happens quite often. So we got very good sources, but it's just like discerning again what's going to be useful to all the people, and what can help humanity. So that's what we go with. Best of it. It's hard work. God, is it hard work? But
I think it is. I think if you take this seriously, it's like it's a bit now a burden around your neck, isn't it? Don't mean that rudely and horribly, because now you've opened something, a can of worms.
I think what is in my case is because I'm like the type of person that's like not going to really let anyone down, and like I get a lot of people like being really nice, really, really kind emails, and people like, you know, like I had really touching emails today. A lady who was like really not well. and she wants to tell me stuff before, like, she's thinking she might not be here long. And it's like a really, really deep, you know, thought-provoking letter. I'm like, you got something on your mind, lady, you want to share it? But and then it occurred to me, like, you know, this lady is reaching out in the last throes in this place, and she's reaching out to a complete stranger on the internet, me. So things like that are happening, you know, where, you know, I'll have people writing me constantly saying, oh, I've changed their lives. A guy earlier with his dad, you know, his dad thought flat earth was nonsense, but he sat there in front of flat earth British, and his dad, you know, he laughs because I find the humor, you know, helps the bitter pill, you know, is easier for the bitter pill to swallow, you know.
Wow, Martin, what's happening? You're going to schools, you're helping people.
Yeah. So
be happy and be proud of yourself. It's good, because that's what all this is about, isn't it? It's about helping
people. I don't feel happy. Not like I should. You'd think I would be happy, but I don't see it or treat it in that manner really at all. Like, I don't get no personal edification out of this at all. I'm just always in a shabby state, like I'm in trenches. Yeah. It's
a very serious subject you found yourself in, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like because it's so cutting edge, and because it resonates with so many people, you know, more than anything else. You know, it's hard to go on the internet now and see, you know, not mud flood or Tataria on the internet. It's just like literally swamped. You know, if you're not into it, it must be a horrible thing. But what they don't realize is like how, you know, integral it is to flat earth, because the whole thing is that. It's the bigger picture, and it's bigger than that as well. The thing is a massive story.
Yeah, I did, when I did my little bit, Martin, I wasn't trying to copy you. I just thought that I would look into a little bit of stuff around me, and
I'm doing the same.
I couldn't believe that this little castle, but it's only the size of a church. It's not the size of, it looks like it's got big turrets and it looks enormous, but literally, you know, you can see a picture of a woman standing in it. This thing was small. So it's on a star fort, and then it's like, so castles are on star forts, and if they're not on star forts, they've got pyramids.
And they're always built one on top of it, you know, like Castle Cork, that little one is supposed to be Victorian. And like, you've got no photographs of it being built. It's supposed to be built in Cardiff, just outside Cardiff, this fairy tale castle. But it's built on the site of another castle, which is built on the site of another earlier, you know, structure. So they keep using the same energy points. So I think it's because of the water.
I wouldn't have noticed it before, but in the castles, because they built like a turrety thing or something on the top of the pyramids,
yeah,
they almost look stupid now, because now you know that that's a pyramid. And the thing is, if it was just a tower, then they were going to be doing something with energy from the tower. But they've built funny things on them, and they just look so out of place now.
I think they're structures. I think they're man-made. It's like this one I keep banging on about. I got pictures of it. It's local, and it's like this Roman hill fort. Then it goes back 6,000 years. The time team were up there. It's our local Roman hill fort, or it goes earlier. But they say the whole plateau is man-made. Yeah, when I got like the geophys model of it, it's not. It's a stepped pyramid. It's man-made. The whole thing. You know how big.
I think that's what they do. They're just going to say man-made. They don't. But
it's not. I asked it's not natural plateau. It's just, there's no features around there like it. It's just. It's not. It's not like.
I asked Maria Wheatley about the pyramids and the castles.
Same as Glastonbury Tor. Looks like that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'll get around to that one. But I asked Marie Wheatley what she thought, thinking that she, you know, she's been really good. She's not a flat earther. She comes on our channel. She's really nice. We're becoming.
That against her.
We're going to go to the Royal Right Ring Circle with her, me and Costa, and hopefully Flat Earth Darb and stuff like that. So that's good. But when I said to her about the pyramids, I just thought she'd say, "Oh no, Karen, there's just you're just lucky. You just what?" She went, "Oh yes, many of the castles have pyramids." So I was like, "Yeah, I knew they did, but it's like a bit of a shock to me, because I've been going around castles and I never saw those things like that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I never saw them at all. And now nearly every castle's got a pyramid in it."
There must be a reason why Wales is such a tiny place. Yeah, we've got more castles in this country than any other on earth. There's 650 like public castles and hundreds more besides. I even got a local one here that's just in the woods called Coira Castle. It's just the ruins of an old castle, mile or two away. So why are they not inundated with like star forts the same way as Holland, Belgium, Germany, France, and Spain?
But we do have them.
We do have them. Not many though. Not really. London, right? Paris is just surrounded by a massive star fort complex. Cologne or Amsterdam, You know, they're all massive. You've never seen anything like them. London, who's supposed to be the biggest city in the world at 1800 in comparison, has only one tiny star fort that we know of inside Tilbury.
Can I tell you a bit of something then? I don't know if it sort of relates in that, but I asked Marie Wheatley, thinking, well, I don't know. I mean, I know that there's lots of these stone circles in, you know, northern France, and you know, you go to Minorca, there's loads of these things there. But I said to her, so where's the biggest one in the world? And she said, well, there was an even bigger one, but it's Silbury, it's Avebury is the biggest stone circle here in this country, in the world. And there was a bigger one that adjoined it that's been destroyed. So we were stone circles and pyramids.
Well, it's druidical tech. It goes back way back to one of the previous sets. Like, obviously, being a flat earther, I don't go with any megalithic eras because that would just be like way back. So I don't think they're megaliths, but I think they must have been like some sort of temples, maybe, or structures built on older structures. They would have been important, but my flipping camera going all over the place. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, you were talking about the tour. Like, that looks like.
Not only that. You know, Wales is separated from England by what looks like, if you're in Herefordshire, this really large wall, which is called Offa's Dyke, which is a mountain range, okay? But it's very steep. It goes hundreds of miles. I mean, this thing starts in Gwent and ends up by Liverpool, or ends up in Flintshire. It's a mountain range, a ridge, they say natural, and it's apparently, the top of it is man-made. In the official narrative, it was built by King Offa in the 1st century AD. And we know very little about him, but he built this natural barrier against the English. Okay, so is it the whole thing artificial? How do you know the extent of these engineers of the past? You just don't, do you? Because if you look at it and you go, say, across up to Birmingham or something, it's all flat, apart from the Malvern Hills, and then you just look over there and boom, there's Wales. It's big sheer mountain cliff thing all the way miles and miles for it, you know, all the way up to the. All the way up to northern Wales. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying the official narrative says man-made. Sorry?
Walls to keep people in and out.
Yeah. And you've got another one. You've got two. I
want to stay on the bit we're talking about castles and that, but I just wanted to say that I also then just went and looked up. I got sent a link to it, and then I made my own one about the Chicago World Fair of 1893. Yeah. It's most bizarre because Tesla won that, and Edison, was it? He didn't. But what it was is supposedly a storm came in and destroyed the whole complex, which was Tesla. But guess what? It was probably Tesla then, wasn't it? Because he'd already won. And
no, this is a big, massive conspiracy, because you can't have nearly every major city on Earth, right, just appearing out of nowhere, right? Then they all get decimated by fire. Right, the fire leaves a space empty that they supposedly put a great exposition on. So that's all of them. Try and name a capital or a city, like all of them in Australia, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, all of them in Britain, all of them in America. So they put these great expositions where they introduce the New World, and in turn, the great expositions also get destroyed. The one in Chicago, is literally cinders. I got photographs of the big wheel. It's just a shell, and the rest of it is just torch.
Martin, that ride per spin could house 2,000 people.
Bigger than the London Eye. I know. Bigger than
I did see a picture of them building that, but you don't see a picture of them building the rest. And some of those buildings are like 9.5 acres big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I got pictures of what was there apparently before. I followed all of the story of all of these cities, you know, and in every single one of them share a spooky, you know, spine-chilling MO. You know, no matter where you go. You know, I started with my last post, I had a look at Sydney. In fact, 2 Sydneys. Both of them look exactly the same. Both of them same period fires. Both of them expositions. Both of them. And you're like, I can't even, like, go to a place and think to myself, did they have an exposition? Yeah, they have. Did they get destroyed by fire? Yeah, they did. You know, I have yet to hit one that hasn't happened. It's getting like there's a whole host of channels now, just concentrating on that fact alone. The whole world is.
I'd add something else to that. I've been to this place called Bowood House, right?
No,
And I
I know
remember
of it.
when I was there that they said that what's left was the wing of the original house. And they, you know, when you see the wing, you think, wow, how big was the house? And when I saw the house, it was big. Well, pictures of it, but there wasn't many. But it was a big house, and it had these great big pillars on it. But considering what they left, the house wasn't that big. Considering what got left.
What was there? You've been at Dobbington, haven't you? You mentioned it. I've heard you.
And then you find out that the guy who realised what oxygen was there. So it was obviously some kind of laboratories. And then what it is that they said that they were poor and they couldn't afford to keep this house going. Well, wouldn't they board it up? You would never ever know that house had ever been there. So if they had no money, how could they do that? They'd have just boarded it up. And in the Second World War, it was like a hospital. But in 1955, they completely destroyed it. And then it came this article and it said, for hundreds of years, they've been destroying all these houses and palaces. They've been destroying them.
Same across the board. But everywhere you go, it's the same story. There seem to be an abundance of mental asylums, and then they're like workhouses, and then they're like, you know, sort of one-room schoolrooms, and they all just disappear. Like railway stations too. There's something really sinister about them. How every one of them, if you're in Tokyo or Australia or South Africa or South America or America, they all look alike. They all share like this same gothic-y, sort of looking like some pancreas type of architecture. How can they all be the same? And they look like this sort of totalitarian.
Some of them look a little bit Russian as well.
Yeah,
you know,
well, I think the killer. I think there was something else. I think Horizon Nation Network that got inundated, because if you look at Penn Street Station, there's no reason that edifice, like built for giants, this thing is just carries on going up, and the detail and the artworks and the statues, and for no apparent reason, you know, they just destroy the whole lot. And, you know, there's just no reason for Penn Street Station to not to be there. And when you look at it, like the photographs from outside, it's a giant temple with giant pillars all the way around. It's like yesterday, Karen, I was looking into one in Sydney, this Fort Denison, and it arrives like literally 2 years after they arrive in Botany Bay, and they start building this crazy story, mind. It's like 7-meter thick walls, apparently. But there was pillars that they brought, columns. Now imagine they're bringing these columns from a quarry that don't exist, because I tried finding it, this marble, on horses and carriages. These marble columns are huge, 24 of them. And they fitted all of that and built it all and quarried it all and built these giant edifices on this fort, right? All within 10 years of the ship arriving in Botany Bay to a muddy field. No, that's just nuts.
Yeah, I got sent one for Australia, and it was a bit like we'd only just got there as sort of convicts.
No,
and
they call them colonial buildings. Well, that's
all
it.
These things had been built. And
11 ships. There was enough people, it was 3,000 people, but not enough people to colonize and build an entire continent of that size. That's just nuts. And all of the cities got the same MO. Melbourne looks like it's earlier, but these buildings were there. And it seems it was Australia.
That's ironic. Martin,
Who's that?
Trouble from Australia. You just talking about Australia, and she's come on.
Who is it trouble
Morning.
about?
Sorry, I'm a bit late.
Australia morning.
I'm glad you joined. Good to speak to you.
Hello, my darling.
Hi.
Hello.
He's just talking about Melbourne. Carry on, Martin.
I like this lady. She's still putting up with no poo. I like that. So take no prisoners. Yeah, no, since I like to do is if I put, what I find is if all the info comes in after the event. So if I do like a Vancouver and exposing the BS there, everyone from Canada will send all the info about it. And the same happens just now with Sydney. So everyone's just inundated me with Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney. Like, oh, it's got masses of info, and it's all just the craziest stuff. People living there saying, "I didn't know we had the biggest tram system in the world in Sydney. It all got taken away." Oh, what's all? You know, people living there. You know, yes. And I'm like, you know, explaining. They're like, "Wow, I did not know this. This city is so well established at such an early stage, considering they only arrived just prior to 1800." Screams, no, come on. It wooden boats, nah.
I did the same. I saw your video yesterday, so I'm on there looking at Port Macquarie, and I've downloaded all these photos of it. And
I went tracing, you know, the poor Denison got me, like, you know, with them columns, like, you know, you got to imagine, you know, muddy paths and, you know, horsebacks with, these things are huge. And they're supposed to be quarried somewhere and dragged all them distances, you know. It's just, no, these things are already there. It screams anyway, because you've got the same MO all over the world. I have no doubt in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, this isn't the case, that there was a world prior, then they've hidden it. And that recent, and it's there, and they're trying to destroy it, any evidence. But it's too late now, because it's cat's out of the bag. It's there, definitely.
Yep.
I remember watching this BBC program. I can't put it on because obviously it's BBC, so it's copyrighted.
Yeah, definitely.
It was in Rome, and basically this underground system, they reckon now they've mistaken it. It was 5,000 years old, and it's still maintained the waterfalls.
Listen, it's just nuts. I've been around twice, right?
The waterfalls.
They said it was 2,000 years old. No,
how can it? All those years ago, like we were in horses and carts, weren't we, and all that crap. We couldn't have been.
That previous set just went before us. They look like there was. I think this is the time before last. I do, to be honest. I think the people of the alchemical era are not us. They go way beyond us. I can't even spin to
something more like, you know, these. I know that we don't necessarily believe in nuclear weapons the same way anymore. But do you think that it was like the day after, and now we are the day after?
Yeah.
From that,
you think we're post survivors, the latter post survivors, coming up to the next cyclical event? That's right, I do. That's exactly what's going on. And I think the one time before last is this time that you're looking at. It's got like this what they call Greco-Romano, which architecture, which you can see in biblical depictions and, you know, Babylonian depictions. I think this is what's going on. I think all of that era that you read about in the Bible, okay, I think that was only like, say, you know, maybe 700 years ago, got reset, and then this Enlightenment period. But I think that's been stretched out, and I can't really say that's 100 years. I know it sounds weird, but I think that's what's going on. And then this alchemical era from the 1600s up until the early 1800s, where it stops dead, mind, and it's not in the art, and they take it out of the architecture. It's fucking weird. These people are making homunculus. Are they really?
With the fact that they added 1,000 years.
Oh yeah, more. I would say 1,300, but I'd say more. I'd say that there's another thing called an overlap where you can't really say if it's playing the 1600s with 1600s you're looking at, see, because it's like played out. You know, these clothes, the people, it's not a natural organic development of clothes that people have. It is an introduced social paradigm introduced by social conditioners. All styles are. 60s was the same. Mary Quant was a Tavistock Institute employee. They invented the, you know, she brings in the mini skirt, and look what that started. You know, when the pill comes in, all in time, it's all worked out. And it's this sort of mentality of this code book that they go by each reset when they got control. It's played out exactly the same. It's the same civilizations played out again and again. So which one you're looking at, you can't really know. That's what I'm saying. It's difficult. You get overlapping epochs as well, where you get like people from the Middle Ages, like Tudor period, you know, with their collars, like Elizabeth I, but they're alongside so-called Romans or Greeks or Babylonians, so they're existing at the same time in 1,000 different ancient texts. There's no mistaking that this is an overlap. So that's exactly what's going on. And I think it's an EM cycle is what's going on, just exactly like on this lady's thumbnail.
Yeah, I think it's a repeat cycle. It's the only thing that makes sense, doesn't it?
It's the only thing that makes sense, and it resonates with so many, you see, because, you know, it's been a thing that's going through every civilization, is like, you know, the end times. Every civilization goes through it. There was a big one around 1900, couldn't get everyone thinking something was going to happen at the turn of the century, like they did with the last. But most of them are put in. Social engineered, like nuclear war, like Cold War, all of these paradigms that people live by, all to cover the cyclical events, and it is deeply encoded. And once you crack that code, there's no escaping it. I mean, I walk down the street and I can see an analogy for this system. It's just, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and they know it. They know it. It's in their iconography. It's in their symbols for their stores, their cars, their everything. Everything. It's just mad. But that's the case.
Yeah, and it just gets madder and madder, I'm sure, every page you read.
It's like a never-ending story, Karen. It's just everything that we've like had ideas about and we've set out to prove. It's just like come true. It's like, yeah, this is, you know, like with the churches with Antiquitech. It's like I only had this like suspicion, like that's just too many, and they're really tall. They're sure they're not gathering electrostatic charge, because I was looking into like Madame Tesla and electromagnetics and everything. I'm a magnet man, as you know. And then it just unveiled, like real time. It's like shit, and overwhelming, and then bam, yeah. This really existed, you know, right the way through in the past. It's just everything we set out to prove seems to have been proved. It's really weird. Just always like a new chapter. I wonder if where the zenith is and what exactly this, because this is taking us somewhere. I don't know where it's taking us, guys. I couldn't even say. Flat Earth is taking us somewhere.
So what's your thing on all the towers then? Like this is what's on top of the tour at Glastonbury, because there's no way that was a church on there.
Simple answer. That is, everything was different back then. The electrostatic charge was completely different. Electromagnetics were completely different than they are now. So they put towers up higher up you go, the more electrostatic charge is available. So it's a simple thing. These Italian towers, these towers on tops of hills, they were collecting what was freely available, and mountains of it back then. Electrostatic charge. Now, what were they doing with it? Well, I'm not sure if they even knew what they were doing with it, but I think they were taking it for weaponry. I think it's connected with star thoughts, and I think it's connected with science and something yet undiscovered to do with us, is what I think.
Well, do you know something? Do you know something? Sorry, Trouble. 1 second, and let you go in. There's a star fort under Donington Castle.
I've been there.
Yeah, these things are 500, 600, 700 years old, and the star forts come before them.
Yeah, no, the only brilliant star fort system that I know of in Britain, really, is the stronghold for the English Civil War, which was Oxford, which Cromwell made a stronghold, and they turned it into the best star fort system I've seen in Britain. I've not seen better. But I got plans for it, but there's nothing like, you know, like blueprints for it, but obviously we can't prove that was built at that era of 1660s English Civil War. That is deeply wrong, that story. I'm going to delve into that closer, you know, because these death masks, I think, are an Illuminati code for these fuckers don't exist, excuse my French. But like, you know, we got Napoleon. We haven't got a photograph, even though photographs existed when he was still alive, because we got one of Duke of Wellington, mind. So why did we get one of Napoleon when he's so important? Only paintings. We got death mask. And the same, that's all we got for Cromwell, is his death mask. And there's a lot of these historical figures which they will prove exist because we got his death mask. And I couldn't be just anybody. Somebody with a wart for Cromwell. Because he had warts, apparently. I don't know.
Needs going in, isn't it? Sorry, Trouble. What were you going to say?
I know. Earlier, I think I was just going to say, like, it sounds familiar. It's just the same theme story over and over again.
Yeah, it is. Nothing new under the sun, as far as I can see.
No. And it explains clothing, because I always thought, why did clothing go in? You know, like there's definite fashions of clothing. And, then I learned, well, they create them, but why would they create them? But I guess this is why, you know,
because it's an expression of consciousness. It's like, you know, that's how it changed the paradigm out of the black and white world of the 50s. Then they bring out the CIA and everyone starts dropping acid. Then the world suddenly turns color from a black and white world. They bring out color telly, bang on that time, Queen, the coronation, etc. All the world turns pretty and colorful. Everyone starts dropping. They bring out the pill, bang, straight at the same time. Next thing you know, women, you know, they've got hardly anything on. They just shirts, skirts are this low. Bang on with promoting free sex. Yeah, you can see where it went, can you? And then a baby boom. Boom.
Yes.
And the results, 1967, Summer of Love. I'm a prime example of that actually working. You know?
Because really, you could have every fashion all the time.
Yes.
There's no reason for fashions to come in and out. Like, it makes no sense.
And people who like to express their own. I looked at Fronters, aren't they? You know, people who like, you know, bright pink hair or just want to look how they want to look. You know, people are looking at them going off, you know, because they're not fitting in with the, you know, stereotype fashion. Like you're not a rocker or a rapper or a mod or, you know.
It also gives the appearance that times have changed. You know, the clothing's changed and we've gotten more advanced. You can tell by the clothing.
It's crap. When I was a kid, you know, like
less advanced.
Easy. was amazing. It was amazing. So many different styles and cultures. It was amazing back when I was in the 80s. You know, we had all of it. The punks, the skins, the mods, the rockers, the new romantics. Yeah,
yeah, and all the sort of splashy colours. You know, you got hippies.
Yeah. The whole world got splashed with colour around 1966, 67, just in time with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Can I just say something though? Just like, you know, like we're talking about all these weird things and these time changes. Like, how could they do that about that thing on the top of the tour? Say it was a church.
Well,
I mean, do you know the only reason I realised, Martin, was this video played, and what it was is this low misty cloud was there.
Yes, because it's Avalon, isn't it?
Once that was there was no land to sail from. I could see there was nowhere to sail from because that hill is on a very flat plateau. So
it is.
They told us that was a church and the people used to sail there to the church.
Right. They say, right, this is the story behind the tour, is, you know where it went, the rest of the church? It fell in an earthquake in the 14th century, apparently. So Britain's post-earthquake. There's another one near me in Wales. Literally, there's a half a church, and the other half slipped on a mountainside, and they kept the church there. It's near Abergavenny in Wales. I went in there once, and I felt really disorientated. It was horrible. But half the church was sort of down like that. So not gravity, but magnetic acceleration felt really weird in there. I felt sick, really strange. Don't know why.
Yeah, it's just you know, to completely lie about it. And I realised that, you know, a lot of the, like, Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle, even Highclere Castle, most of those are turret shape. You know, they might be small turret shape, but they're still the same thing. They're still a sort of square box, like a turret.
Right, if you thought about this, right, why do you think, right, you're talking, I just noticed all these places like Donington, they're energy centres, and what do they have there? They have festivals. Like Glastonbury, right, wherever you are in Glastonbury, if you look that way, you can see the tour, no matter where you are in a Glastonbury festival, right? And you can have, back in the day, anything up to 500,000 people right under that pyramid. Are they harvesting? Now look at, you know, if you're saying what you're saying about Donington, that could be the same scenario. You know, when I went to Donington, right, it was like massive concert. There must have been.
Do you know what it's about there at Donington? It was about the Magna Carta there.
Oh no, I don't go with that. I think it's just to extend time, and it's just a bullshit document.
It's supposed to be the second battle there. The second battle of Donington Castle was to do with Magna Carta. No, that's what they've told us.
God, they come up with a lot, don't they? You say anything like that, it's just to, you know, history books, like the ones they give us, are chronologies of that, exactly what you just mentioned. So it's royal families, it's battles, Battle of Bosworth, you know, Battle of Boyne. You know, when I was in Ireland, right, I docked in Drogheda, so I thought, oh, cool, Battle of Boyne, I better go and check it out. So you catch the bus to this town, and I go to the riverbank where apparently this giant Battle of Boyne happened. So this is it, is it? And it was nothing there, exactly like every battlefield, except for the trenches, of course, that I've ever visited. It's like, show over. There's nothing here, it's just a field. So they keep doing this. It's not like, you know, fiber or you know, tangible proof these things ever existed. Any of these major battles. History is just a story made up by guys, Jesuits. Even if it's Jesuits, you know, but it's worked out. And they cover themselves with, like, look at the royal family. Everyone's bought it. They're our chronology. They're not the Germans. They come along in the bleeding 1900s. The, you know, whatever they're called. The German family, they had to change it because they weren't popular in the First World War, especially when we're at war with Germans. Didn't work. So they changed it to Windsor because it was a town close by. So they thought that'd work. Nobody will notice. Everyone's fast asleep. I think this is probably the stupidest reset in all of them, if I'm honest.
Can I just say that
people would have it?
Who's that?
Sorry.
Can I just say that's Josh, Flat Earth Unity's joined us.
Cool. Certainly, Josh.
Talk to you, brother. Martin, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. I've been following you for a very long time, bro. Far before the fascist weapons, far before the Tartaria. Yes, sir. Like since the beginning, since before mud floods speak. And
I was thinking, I would say
I appreciate everything you're doing. Sorry for stepping over you the damn late. No, I want you doing that the whole time.
I'm in my own voice, brother. I do, yeah.
That's cool to know, man. I'm the same way. I love to converse with y'all. Miss Trouble, it's a pleasure to see you again, sis. I haven't seen you in about a year and a half. I'm glad everything's well. I'm glad to hear from you. You probably don't remember me. That's okay though. And Miss Karen, my beautiful sister, I'm glad to always be on. I'm sorry I'm never around, but I'm glad to always be around when I am.
Sorted.
Oh, it's good to have you on, Josh.
Where you at, brother? Where you at? In America or Canada?
I'm in California, but I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, in America.
Long distance.
My brother Elihu. We've been recently looking around Google Earth, and in Memphis, along the Mississippi River, we have found multiple star forts.
Man, right up the Mississippi, mate. Even did you know, like, even New Madrid had one? You know, I'm like, that can't be an accident. New Madrid has this massive event, and you got a big, great star fort. I got maps of it as well. But yeah,
man, the map of California is still connected to America. That's the one that's beautiful. Like, you find a map, and California is still completely connected.
I got atlases with galore with them, and I show it. And there's a switch at some stage. I think it was the of Oregon connected it back up again later. That's what I think. Because from Portland all the way to the coast, apparently mud flats all the way to the sea. So you can sort of see it on Google Earth anyway. You can see these striations, and they just like, you can see what a mud flow looks like. You know, it's like, that's a mud flow. So yeah, I think that's what happened.
It's mythology in this area that California, up until 300-400 years ago, was a landfill. It's where the whole country would move their dirt or move their land when they were moving and building and, you know, displacing land. Supposedly it was all placed over here in California. That's why it's different. That's why they like to use California as geological, like, to tell you, oh, this is how it's 1 million years old, or this is 15 million years old. But really, it's all been stacked up on top of each other by man. The Joshua Tree National Park, also man-made, man. Like 80% of the shit in there was placed by man.
Really?
You see machine marks. Oh, bro, I spent a lot of time in there. My girlfriend spends even more time in there. And I'm telling you, a lot of this shit is fishy in there. Excuse my language, sis.
Oh, it's a bit like the sand. Do you think it's a bit like sand pirates? You know, that are going around stealing the world's sands and making, you know, new bits of land. And I think they probably changed the tide currents, you know, by removing all the sand and things. I don't know.
Well, do you know what? I could go a step ahead to that. This was discussed on my channel. It was like, you know, where you get that Mercator, or you see that flat Earth projection, you know, the Kabawashi. You remember that? All that time ago, we found that. And outside all these continents, sort of thinking, when this was a mining operation, were they shifting all of the Earth outside and building all of these continents up like they do in Dubai, you know, with with you know, the world they got there, just rubbing our faces in it, and palm tree and everything.
To correlate with the mining operation, right beside me in Arizona, I believe it is, or Nevada, or one of them, it's supposed to be a meteorite. It's supposed to be a strike zone where a meteor hit, right? Well, tell me why, when I looked at it, it looks exactly like it looks like they were mining. It looks like they mined the area, and there's nothing there anymore. It's depleted. So they kind of smooth out the edges, make it look, you know, rounded, or just let it collapse on itself. It's a very windy area. You know, wind erosion, 50 years of wind erosion can make something look totally different. So all you got to do is portray it as something and it not be that. And that's it. It is what it is. You have 1 million people say, oh, that's a meteorite strike. It's now a meteorite strike.
Yeah.
Agreed. Exactly. I've looked into Arizona crater. Definitely. They don't come in. Look, as the experiment's been done, even if they were a reality, which they're not the way they explain it, nothing's orbiting anything. And they come in, they wouldn't come in like, you know, just smack straight in. You know, they come in at some sort of angle anyway. So, like, this thing's just a hole.
Yeah, it would make like a Grand Canyon. If it was to hit, it would make a Grand Canyon every time, which I believe the Grand Canyon's a strip mine as well. I think it's a mine. They mined it out, depleted it. Now they set it up as a national monument that looks like it's natural.
Yeah, if that was a Colorado River, all the rivers would have done the same. It's nothing to do specific with that rock. Yeah. You know.
Or some of it might have been lightning strikes. Lightning makes a similar
but another one as well. When St. Helens went off, that event, there was a thing that just outside called Little Grand Canyon. It was basically, it opened in 10 minutes flat. And it's a couple of miles long, and it looks like a little Grand Canyon, and it's near to Mount St. Helens because of this event. So I think that could be as well, like tearing if this place through plasma events, 100%.
Yeah, I'm more lean with the theme that things can are happening instantly, not hundreds of years, millions of years of,
No, instant. Like a thief in the night. Yeah, agreed.
The so-called fossils prove that.
Collect them.
That's what they call a fossil is not something that happened over a long period of time. It's exactly instantaneously. Exactly. Yeah. Something smashed together and something encased these things in some sort of mud and some sort of sediment, whatever you want to call it. But these things were encased rapidly. That's the only way you would have the decay at a constant rate like that.
Agreed.
I think there are a few different ways to fossilize things, because like you've got those wells in England where they slowly drip and things fossilize in them. Yeah, I think half this stuff fossilized instantly, especially the trees or the petrified forest.
Oh, that's
true.
They
were gone moldy before they went to stone.
Yeah, they look like stone, don't they?
Miss Trouble, this is a little off topic, but I remember that you're from Australia. Sister, yes. Have you ever heard that the Aborigines, the original people in that land, burnt down the entire outback?
Yes, I've heard that recently. Yes, because there was some spirit or something evil out there, and they burned everything.
Can you imagine how much was lost that cannot be brought back? Can you imagine how many varieties of plants, how many varieties of trees, all the things that were lost?
Meant to be burned. A lot of our trees only drop seeds if they're burned.
Wow.
Whoa.
Not a lot, but some of them, some of the native trees. So yeah, it is a burning.
In their oral languages, their oral tradition, they talk of this happening, is it? It's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's spooky.
Ooh. Apparently. I don't know too much about it, and I've only heard of it just recently. I don't know if it's true or...
I got an Aboriginal mate, Sam Moxie. I love the dude, man. He comes in with the best stuff. He's always getting my back. He's just totally awesome guy. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's the ones we should be doing. Those are the ones we should be doing presentations with, Martin.
Oh, I'd love to get Sal and my brother on. Oh, honest to God, this guy's just beautiful, man. He's just always, he's a good person. He's always getting good people's backs. I love that sort of thing. But
they've gone very quiet, the first Australians, that because they've been ridiculed for so long. Now, they've all just closed up, so they don't talk too much. So if you can find somebody who is willing to share the history and that, then that's pretty amazing, I think.
Yes, ma'am. They definitely have a different demeanor about them. When you see them like getting put in front of cameras and stuff, it's almost as if they're not interested. They're
like they steal their spirits. The North American Indians, Native North Americans are the same, aren't they? It's like they steal their spirit.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily that, but I think that they know that they're being what's the word I'm looking for? They're being taken advantage of. Like someone they're not putting that camera in front of you to benefit you. They're putting that camera in front of you to benefit themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. It's same as like, some religions you don't take blood transfusions. So it's like there's just some residue of some truth that they've got. It's for some reason, maybe in the future, just merely having your photo means that they can reproduce you. I don't know,
That's what I thought. There might be something in that as well. Oh, you keep coming up.
We live in a really strange place if things can petrify like that instantaneously.
Yeah, well, the events are in our psyche. We've just been in amnesia, see? Because we're a species in amnesia. But...
Do you follow the thing about the fact that we could have had gigantic, great big strikes, with a positive and a negative? I mean, when we researched this on Sun and Moon, the positive, around there, all the trees grew, and the negative, that's where all the mining is. And if you were caught in a strike, then you were evaporated, basically.
More than that. It's more than that. It's the this order of chaos the Masons use, order of chaos, is not what you think. It's not like they're creating a Hegelian dialectic, chaos, events, and then bring the peace and order. It's just not that. It's a little bit deeper than that. It's to do with electromagnetics. And when they're like in disorder, right, the magnets are not aligned. Okay, the atoms are not aligned.
Martin, is this when they were drawing the drawings with the rings on their heads? And what they were doing was they were mimicking the sky and then something happened from that, because that meant that something was happening with the electromagnetics, but that maybe they didn't realise. And they were hats like it.
You know about the Dogon, yeah? Because they got like, you know, they're definitely, they wear the model of this place on their heads. That's a bit of a giveaway. But they definitely know this is an EM. Everything is electromagnetic and vibrating. They know that. The ancient cultures know that. Yeah.
What I'm saying is they were seeing it in the sky, and they were depicting it in their drawings, on their heads, in their hair, you know, like the whole thing. But that could have then been an big electrical arcing.
No, I think what will happen is, because, you know, people think that the South Pole, most people, is like, you know, 24,000 miles on the other side of Australia, somewhere that way, and there's a South Pole. In reality, I think it's 12 kilometers below us, the initial flat plane.
Something else as well, just from
and I think it flips.
Just from talking to someone who was living in the middle of Canada, but where it's very icy and cold. It's -20 right now. In the summer, they can get up to 35 degrees. So how can they be near the North Pole, really, if they can get that high?
They say it's shifting. They just introduce a narrative when they're saying it's always been over northern Canada for the last 100 years, and suddenly, all of a sudden, it's on the move, and it's just shot across the Arctic Circle, and it's coming down to Siberia. Like, literally, the magnetic North Pole is on the move. So that's them telling us there's something really, we can't work it out. There's something big happening in the electromagnetics. So,
yeah, but
their narrative claims the North Pole is constant in motion, Miss Karen. The magnetic North Pole is constantly in motion. It has never been still, and it never will be still.
Never in the same place.
Just like our beautiful flat plane is a spinning ball somehow chaotically flying through chaos.
Exactly.
Have you seen Orphan Red's latest vid? She's got a video on Mount Meru, and she doesn't think it's the center. She thinks there is another center just to the side of it, and it's marked on the map, but they still put the South Pole, the North Pole, as the center, but she doesn't think it is, and she thinks it's almost impossible because it would be moving constantly anyway, so this land would be on the move.
Well, yeah, so it's not very symmetrical organic thinking, but I can see what.
Also, Martin, we had Brett from Australia who was doing his research, but he reckoned that the sun never went into his northern sky, even in the summer, the winter. It never went fully in the northern. So he was wondering actually whether we are south of him.
Oh, right. Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I've heard that.
It sets more to the north, but it's rising definitely still in the southern half.
You catch the mood today, Karen, because like I took a photograph yesterday. Today was beautiful, but like the sun is smack in front of it, and I'm like, how can everyone miss that? Like, this thing should be fully illuminated. This moon should be fully illuminated when the sun's smack in front of it, not waning on a, like, you know, whatever percentage it was on. Why is everyone missing that?
And shouldn't it be a black, like a full-on black moon, dark, you know, new moon, when the Earth is in between the sun and the moon? How the hell is it a full moon? Like, what is the Earth? Like a magnifying glass or something?
Not making any sense. Not when you know. It's just crazy. I took a photograph of that moon, though. It was just like literally there, and the sun was like there, smack in front of it. So it's like it's just illuminated on the one side. It's like that's not like I've got anything to do with that whatsoever, obviously. And see that, you know, not giant imagination to see that's what's happening. Everyone else thinks it's.
Can I just say, Mike Allen, he was on the other day. He was in the chat room earlier on, because the temperature can get so hot in the middle of Canada, right? And I was telling him that Brett reckoned, well, with his reckoning, how could we be south? How could they be south of us? It's the other way round.
Well,
he was wondering. The land meets up there, and you could actually drive to the continents up there, but they're not allowing us up there, and they're pretending that it's the North Pole when it isn't.
It's vast. It's vast. Yeah, I know.
Have you noticed the further you get off the land and the closer you get to the sun, like in the air, it gets colder instead of getting warmer as you get higher up.
I've noticed that. I'm sure I'm moving.
But not already, even in Australia, because it's the other. In Australia, for them to have summer, the sun has to be low in the sky, but for us to have summer, the sun has to be high in the sky.
So your weather, your local weather, can override the sun, really. If you're having snow and it's still sunshine and it's not melting.
Well, if you're not thinking in your, like, you know, your excuse the phrase, sphere of influence. I was looking at the sun today and I was thinking, well, that's at his zenith, now it's at the highest. So what are they seeing like because we're on the same sort of time as West Africa, right? So I was thinking, Christ, all our way down south, and there's the sun there, and I'm looking at it. So it's boiling hot in Sub-Sahara, but they're getting on the same time scale, on the same latitude line as London, GMT 0, go straight through Lagos, or near enough. So, and it's boiling hot at the same time of day. Yeah. So, outside of, if you're thinking locally, however could that work?
Well, I also looked at stuff as well. Oh, sorry, Josh wants to come in. You come in afterwards.
No worries, Miss Karen. No rush. It's all good.
Lithuania, right? It's supposed to be a lot norther. They still go to the sea, and it still gets into the 20s. It gets into the 20s in Greenland. They're just lying to us. There are just cold places and hot places. The Alps gets very cold in winter between two hot countries. You've got Everest in a hot place. It's cold, but it's in a hot place.
I've sunbathed in Norway.
You can be below the hills, where they go skiing in Aspen, and you're in a t-shirt and shorts. You go up the mountains, you've got to wear, obviously, it's cold up there and you're skiing. So there's just cold places and hot places. They've lied about everything.
Well, we're on the same lat line as, say, New York, or not far off, but New York has like really cold winters compared to Britain. And the reason is we got the Gulf Stream, which is plummeting up like the west side of us. And we get we're right on it here in South Wales. We've got palm trees all along the coast here. Island gets it, and all the way up, North Wales, and all the way up sort of Lancashire, all the way up towards and Hebrides.
I can't prove this or anything, but I think that we get a lot more north, obviously, than America and even Lithuania and stuff, just by the way that the Big Dipper goes round our sky. The whole thing goes round our sky. It doesn't always happen in other countries. It's over there, or it's stretched. That's what I think.
We're not big enough to produce our own weather. We always have everybody else's. We're not a big enough land mass to produce our own weather. So anything that Britain has is other people's weather.
The Gulf Stream's really interesting because I saw a show on that, and it was saying England would be frozen if it wasn't for the Gulf Stream.
If you look on the map, right, Nova Scotia, a little bit further down, say, we'll be generous, New Brunswick, right? But we're on the same lat line as that, so we should be having the same temperatures. Like the River St. Lawrence freezing over is what should happen here. But the Gulf Stream keeps us nice and juicy warm. Isn't that convenient?
Yeah. And so it's the water on Earth that's causing all the seasons, I think, and the not out in space spinning ball thing.
It's connected. It's electromagnetics. This place breathes. I think that's the tides are electromagnetic.
We have a channel that I sometimes do videos for called Light and Dog. He has a model where basically it's a different kind of electricity in the water, so we can go in the water, but this electricity is causing the tides and the seas and the waves.
I saw that was interesting. Yes.
Who was that? I don't know him. Who would you mention?
Light and Dog.
I don't know him.
If you look on Sun and Moon, if you just put Sun and Moon, whatever, Family United, Light and Dog, you'll find him that way.
Okay.
He's done a few very interesting videos about things. He's thought rather hard about things, but yeah, it's just Josh, what did you want to say?
Josh.
I was just going to ask if you ever met Marlena.
Yes.
Have you, Martin? Have you ever met our sister Marlena?
Yes, I think plenty of time in the back, way back. I mean, maybe a year ago. I think so. Yeah, I was on a hangout. She's a nice lady. Yeah.
Like you, she's a native of her land. Like all of us, we're natives of our land. That's the irony of the word native, is we're all natives of our land.
A couple of awesome ladies from America. Walker, do you know her? She's a hippie elder.
The reason I was even bringing it up is she was explaining how, and she's not the only one who brought it up to me, but it correlates. How the Catholics came through and destroyed the history and the people and the language of their area. I think the same happened to Wales, right? It used to be a Welsh language, right? Oh, yes. It used to be a complete Welsh culture. Y'all, if I'm not mistaken, the Welsh people tatted their face, tatted their bodies, tatted everything, right? They were tattooed people. All of the ancient Britons were. All of the people that is what's called the UK today were tattooed people. Highly tattooed, facial tattoos, dreadlocks, long hair, warrior peoples are what we're told. But I believe there's much more to these people than just being warriors or what they call barbarians, Tartarians, if you will. I think it's much more to these people than that. What do you know of your history? What do you know of your ancient language?
Well, there's a lot of things going around. A lot of people keep mentioning a fellow sort of historian in Wales called Alan Wilson, and this guy's like right on the money. But he goes into a century that I don't think is a millennium. I don't think is there, first millennium AD, and he goes on about King Arthur and Merlin, and all of that's tied into this area. But what I'm thinking is, obviously, like after this guy Llewellyn, okay, in this fall of Wales, when the princes fell, and the English moved in, and then up until even the 1950s and 60s, if you were caught speaking Welsh in a classroom, you'd have a backhander.
Yeah, same thing in Canada. The same thing in Canada. The same thing here in America. The same thing everywhere.
Peoples, but like way back, like the Druids. Like if you're going with the historical narrative, the story is like Caesar lands on the beaches in Wales, okay, and he sees the Druids there, and they're all tattooed and they're covered in purple, and they're naked, okay, and the purple is belladonna, deadly nightshade. Okay, the little purple flowers. If you powder it and rub it on, it's got psychoactive properties. So these guys are druids, they're tripping, they're tattooed, they're naked, and the Romans are like, let's just get back in the boats, go back home and have a think about this. So they went back home. And the second invasion, Augustus, right, comes along and they have a full army. So what happens is, right, in the official narrative, is they mop up the last remnants of Wales, the population, the Druids, in Anglesey. The entire Roman army goes to Anglesey to wipe us out. Okay, apparently they're all gone, but I think they're still there. I think they're just so got to go so covert against these Phoenicians. They have no choice. But so he's taken an entire army to North Wales. But while that's happening, there's a rebellion. Boudica, or Boudicca, okay, this lady who's got her daughters, both her daughters raped, apparently by Roman soldiers publicly. So she flips, she's a member of the Iceni, this tribe. She gets a rebellion together, she sacks and burns. You can still see the burn line today in London, Colchester, St. Albans, all the cities that fell. There was no Romans there, or them, to protect these cities, because they'd all gone to North Wales to wipe out the remnants of the Druids, the people who, inhabited this land, previous.
Where is Cumbria in relation to Wales?
Northern England, it's very similar landscape, beautiful. The Lake District, Cumbria, is like just God's country. It's the most beautiful of places, it really is.
Yeah, I've been to the Lake District. It was one of my favorite places. Yeah.
Oh, isn't it stunning? I know.
Yeah.
Wow. You've been to Britain then, have you? Wow, cool.
No, sir. I haven't even been across the water.
I'm hoping to come stateside. America's calling, flat Earth British. I thought I'd go and invade your country one day.
Absolutely. I got a place for you to lay your head if you need one.
I'm telling you what, I got so many friends in America that I've known years that are proper friends. I just can't imagine what it'd be like to go there and see them. I'd just be buzzing so much. I love the guys, man. I really do. I do. And it's so like to meet them. All of you over there would be something special. I'll do that one day soon. Definitely. Got it.
Have a presentation from Martin.
Yeah, we got all the conferences on the horizon anyway. They're starting up.
I'm still not over the bit about when you were showing us in the 1700s where they actually had the whole nervous system mapped out and things, and you're like, what?
More than that after that to blow my mind as well. And I had a doctor contact me as well and said it was not possible to see the human nervous system, and not in any form. He said he was a surgeon. My emails
Medicine and medical science goes back way farther than any of the concepts we touch on ever. Any of the concepts we touch on, they've been pulling bodies apart and dissecting, and their enemies, their own people. People have been doing this forever and ever and ever. I believe we've known more than we think we know. We've known more than we know now for a long, long time.
Man, I can't even imagine what is going to be unveiled. My mind is blown apart by everything that's happened over the last few years, guys. It's just been too
same. Every day is mind blowing. Every day. We all, if any of us do any kind of research on our own, aside from just watching the content produced by great content creators, but anyone who does any kind of research on their own, it's a mind blow every day. If you don't have your mind blown every day, you're not doing it right.
That's right. You're watching mainstream. That's right. Yeah, same here. And I learn all day. I've been in my comments this morning, and some of the comments are a couple like really emotionally moved, and a couple are like so well-informed people. It's a privilege to have them even bothering. I'm like, wow, that's just massively insightful. I wish I'd thought of that. It's just amazing stuff, guys. These people are coming out with. It's just wow. Just a beautiful thing. I'm glad people are expressing anyway. That's all I can say. Getting it all out.
I'm just a bit like, all this stuff is there for us to see, and like there's a star fort here, and I bet you nobody knows about it. And then it's like the pyramids everywhere. It's like I never saw them before, but they're everywhere.
It's denial.
They're in colleges. They're in Oxford. They're in Marlborough, Eton.
Everywhere.
All these,
Edinburgh, Stirling Castle got one smack outside the front door. All the Masons.
Dover Castle's got one. Dover Castle is a star.
Dover Castle, I went there when the old man, when I was a kid. Oh my God, I had a brilliant day there. I should have seen.
It's like a star fort, Martin. That one.
Yeah. I went in underneath. They had all like caves and all that. It was freezing cold. I didn't like it, but this place was immense. It was unbelievable. It was France right by there.
Have any of y'all heard about ancient Egypt actually being America?
Well, I don't think ancient Egypt, because of the simple fact that we're going with the Rosetta Stone for a translation. Yeah, when there's alternative translations out there, and it's all ideographic and it's open to interpretation anyway. So I think that from what we've sort of discovered, that they're sort of introduced as a cover story. I mean, all of the dynasties and the pharaohs, all of it really, cover story for another peoples, which we think are the Phoenicians. Okay, so I think that like everyone just thinks of, if you think of a pyramid, your mind jumps straight to Cairo, which is just insanity. There's like umpteen more in Sudan and more established. They're just not on the tourist trail. Does anyone mention Sudan's pyramids? No. But they're all over Asia, China, South America, step pyramids, right the way up the central bit, all into America. You're covered. I got a picture of one in somebody sent me saying it's not a pyramid in Virginia.
The largest pyramid is in Cholula, Mexico.
Yeah, that's
the largest pyramid of all pyramids that we found. Let me change that, because we're not able to walk around these uncharted areas, so we don't get to discover things on our own. But what the largest pyramid found is in Cholula, Mexico, and it is monumental.
Can I just say something, Martin? If the tour is a pyramid, what would you say to that, to what Josh is just saying? Because that's a huge thing.
I think that we don't think big enough. I think these things are, really, really big. Okay, I think really, really big. I think they were like an ancient energy center, a grid. They were using nesting technology for producing a charge, electromagnetic charge, which could be gathered or released in an instant, for whatever means, out of even the benefit or the destruction of humanity.
Mycelium. I don't know if y'all are familiar with mycelium. It's one of the smallest forms of life, but it's a picture you can find where a man, Paul Stamets, he's in a helicopter and he's taking a picture on the ground, and this mycelium is so big, it's massive, and it's living.
Right.
Is that the largest? What makes that not a Leviathan?
They say the biggest species of plant or animal on Earth, apart from like the Great Barrier Reef, which is an organism.
Yes, exactly. It's living and it's ancient. Living and ancient.
Yeah, it's a giant mushroom that goes under a couple of states, apparently, of America. It's all the one, apparently, and it comes up into different shoots, and it's all the same plant. It's just one mushroom, this one. I was reading about it, and it's supposed to be the biggest plant or fungi outside of the Great Barrier Reef existing, and that's in the official narrative. So there are massive organisms out there.
Once again, I'll say, what makes that mushroom not Leviathan? How is that not Leviathan?
It's not huge. It's covered states. That's what I'm saying. It's just massive. See if
Yes, sir.
Probably. Google gives a lot away, doesn't it? Things just on the features on the landscape. Somebody sent me in half a dozen pictures yesterday of Colorado and said, check this up, Matt. In the middle of nowhere, mate. It's up in the mountains. He lives in Colorado, and it's just like an unbelievable Asian grid network. Same as you see all over Asia, all of them. Complete blocks, like what would have been city blocks, all lined up beautiful petroglyphs in a landscape. And they stop at mountains and carry on going thousands of miles or hundreds in the landscape. And they're not modern day, they're not farms. This is out of nowhere. It's a guy who knows the place. He lives out in Colorado, my mate. It's like, wow. He searches for these things for me on Google. They're out there. It's from the previous civilization. Gone. All over America.
The world is electromagnetic, but our body's electrochemical.
As well. That's very true. That is such a good point, actually. Yeah. So
I'm starting to notice that on the things on the planet, they're more electrochemical. The chemicals is what's making everything happen. Or, it's connected.
I think we have a lot more to do with what happens in this place than we actually think. There's been, experiments put out there. I'm not talking spooky action at a distance, but I'm on about like a mass thought to create change. Has had positive effects. There's that famous quantum experiment where they affect.
There would be a lot of people in the UK not thinking very happy then, because we're just cloudy all the time.
Well, that's sad syndrome, but I don't get affected by that. I don't really get affected by any of this.
But you can't fight the world, can you, Martin, on your own?
Syndromes. Listen, when I was a kid, there was no autism. That didn't even exist. Never even heard of it. Okay, we had like more like.
No, but we had thalidomide children. I think we've just been an experiment for a really long time, to be honest.
I had one in my class, I was at school. Mary, she was a thalidomide. Happened to her in her hospital.
They gave the mothers hot medication which wasn't tested properly, so they and then they found out that the women were giving birth to children without limbs.
I used to get told that I was a niffling dick. I had the attention span of a gnat. I didn't quite hit the hyperactive. That word wasn't quite out then, I don't think. But it was just normal. It wasn't anything abnormal. It was just meant you had a lot of energy.
Yeah. Well, when I was 8-year-old, I had a really bad case of sleep paralysis. Like I had the other day, actually, come back. But I mean, really bad. I mean, the worst. I mean, I'm in hell and I can't get out of it. I'm awake. Sort of thing. Lasted a long time. And one night, it snapped. Something was like, in my mind, there was like things there, a really, really bad experience. Woke up in the morning and my legs don't work anymore. So I'm like, Mom, my legs don't work anymore. So anyway, the story is, they took me to hospital. I had every medical examination under the sun. The doctors said, we can't find what's wrong with him. We think it's because he's hyperactive, he's caused himself a mental block and his legs have gone into entropy. Okay, so I spent a full year, in a wheelchair, watching all the kids playing football out the window, not being able to go out, thinking I'm going to spend the rest of my life in this flipping chair. And then one morning, I woke up and they were back, right? Feeling them again, just there, back. Mom, they're back. But they'd wasted away because I hadn't walked on them. They were like just sticks. So I had to go to physiotherapy to get them back. It took me a while, quite a while to get back walking again. I had these bars and it's like bloody Douglas bad. It was awful. But out of nowhere like that. The mind, they say, did that.
Yeah. It's very powerful, the mind.
The mind all is mind. All is mind. The amount of people that just like literally bring on illness on themselves by like predictably programming themselves because.
Can I say something else they did as well? It was called, in the 60s, they decided to mess around with all our education here in the UK by doing this horrible thing called ITA. They were trying to make writing without having joined up, so that basically you used letters to make other letters, like
cursive.
Say E could be an I as well because it's got a leg. You put the I on the top and you could still cross it. So basically they taught hundreds of thousands of children, piloting them on this system, and then forgot to tell any of their schools that they had learnt this system. So of course then there's a whole generation of like artificially dyslexic children who are just thick, stupid and useless. But we weren't. We got taught something else and then they didn't tell the schools.
My children, because I moved them around a lot, they, Beth learnt running, writing, and then she got to Queensland and they don't do it. And so she's got little curls on the end of her A, and she's getting into trouble for them. And
really?
yeah, it's all over the place in Australia still.
Your creativeness in your writing. Have you seen the Victorians writing trouble about how beautiful and creative and flowing it is?
Yes.
I used to be really I thought I was quite a good graphologist. I thought I could analyze people by their handwriting. I used to study quite a bit handwriting. I think I can get it down a bit. You can get a bit about people's personalities, like, sharp edges and, hurrying and relaxed people, swaying creative people out of their signatures. A lot comes on.
I know there's a difference between lowercase and uppercase, because since I had my strokes and my sight went all funny, I struggle reading uppercase.
Really?
Lowercase, yeah, I can read lowercase pretty easily, but the uppercase is just straight lines and it goes everywhere, and it just looks like a disaster trying to read it.
So the motor learning process in the brain, is it? Or
yeah, the scripted writing is much easier to read than
I get it.
letters.
You left-handed?
I don't know if that has anything to do with anything.
Not that that didn't be anything to do with it, but are you left-handed? Just curious.
No, but the stroke affected my right side, so I have become left-handed. Not so much I still write right-handed, but I reach for everything left-handed now. My first reaction is to go left-handed.
I'm with you.
And I've got to tell my right-handed.
That is so funny.
I've got to remind it. Sorry.
So I'm sorry, Miss Trouble. I thought you were done speaking. That is funny. I'm the exact opposite. I'm left-handed, but catch a ball with my right hand, throw a ball with my right hand, do everything right-handed, yet I write left-handed.
Can I just say as well, I write with my right hand, but I actually sort of cricked something in my left hand, and I just didn't realise, because obviously I was moving it, I just didn't realise how much I used my left hand. I brush my teeth with my left hand. I do loads of things with my left hand, except I write with my right hand.
You bunch of weirdos.
What I'm trying to say is they've made, you're right-handed. There's a whole thing about this right, but actually I do most of it with my left hand.
Well, that's about.
Totally off topic to towers and castles.
Well, you've got me thinking, because I kick footballs with my left foot, but I'm right-handed. It's just the brain, isn't it? Just dealing with it. My main kicking foot is my left foot.
Well, yeah, and see, as a kid, you might have done it both ways, but then you got it right on one way, and then your brain's gone, right, we're going to follow that one. We're going to stay left foot kicking because you did that better than right foot, and we're just going to follow that one.
I was epic footballer when I was a kid.
Because your brain can make all those calculations, even though you don't see it doing it.
To do flying goals. Thought it was brilliant.
What is this thing we're in then, Martin? Tell us, what are we living in if they've lied about how high we can go up?
Well, this is definitely enclosure, but that's not like, some people say, oh, well, it's enclosure, that's just like the globe, but no, I don't think so. I think this is what's going on at this stage. If you follow my series, The Greatest Secret Never Told, where I present the electromagnetic model for this place, 10 vortex system, it is encoded in all of our reality, and it took me the best part of maybe 20, 30 hours to explain it, but it's like a nice 5.5 hour synopsis, so like tens of thousands watched 5.5 hour video. Think about that. So what I thought, this is our plane, okay, we've got Mount Meru in the center, and we got the magnets which drive our luminaries electromagnetically, okay, by repulsion and attraction. So onto the one luminary, onto the next, the sun and the moon, and then back into the center, pulled by the middle magnet, okay, dictating our seasons and back out. What I thought was with they shared neighboring ponds exactly the same. So our magnets are not our magnets, okay, our angels, our vortexes, they are neighboring ones. So you get this, which is pretty much like the flower of life. It doesn't have to be round. It could be any shape, even cubic. It could be a hexagonal, like a beehive. But the funny thing is about this is it so strikingly resembles the bondings of atoms, if they are reality. Also, it makes perfect sense of some of the things I've decoded. If they are going somewhere off pond, I think you know, this Antarctica place, which they talk about constantly, or this thing around us, which we don't know what shape it is, I think they get out. I think there's more outside. I mean, we share our angels. I think there's more outside.
Absolutely. Some sort of retirement community.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question, Martin? If the North Pole moves, like the magnetic North Pole, could that just be the magnetic North Pole that moves and the Mount Meru is solid land and the magnetic pole sort of moves around?
Meru is artificial. I think it's a pyramid. I think it's a very, very large, infinitely big pyramid. I think this is an artificial, sort of a very advanced structure. I think the magnets, as I say, are toruses, so that are the natural vortexes, or are they artificial vortexes to drive this system? Okay, so I think because of like this, if you understand nesting and how this energy is produced and how this frequency emitted from Mount Meru is existing, and it is existing because 432 and these different frequencies exist. So if this pyramid underneath, which is our South Pole, okay, so that could, you know, you can trace pole flip in the rock record. Okay, this sort of event has happened in our past, but not the timescales they're saying, but it's there.
Yeah.
Also in radio fossils, if you know about them, they happen in an instant, and they hold a record in them as well, which can be sort of trusted. It's about the best we can get. Anyway, so I think that's what's going on, and I think there are in here with us. I think there's more, because I think that they've literally, the waters in this place are infinitely big. Yeah, the oceans you see on maps, forget about it. Okay, I spent a lot of time in my life on these oceans. They are huge. The land masses are so they can't really, they're not on a map, so you don't know. They could easily hide something, I think. And what's happening around the outside edge, I couldn't possibly imagine, because we can't really do what we want past the 60th and go and have a nose, can we? But they can. So I think that there are, I can't call them portals, I could call them, what I call them is angels or magnets or ways out, which also drive this system. That's where I am at this stage. Obviously, I'm going to change along the way under new discoveries, but that is just this thought for the moment. This is where I'm at.
All right, so this is my crazy idea, and everyone laughs when they hear it. But all right, supposedly when all of us were born, it's an account in our names. Well, with this account, if we got 1,000 people with these limitless accounts, and we bought icebreaker ships, what happens if we just go? You know, like, what happens? We have our sovereignty about us at that point, which means no boundaries between us or below us. You know, our sovereignty. I'm sorry?
What are they going to do? Call an army on us? You're right, brother.
That's what I'm thinking. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking too. Like, what's the word? No, there's no way that I can't imagine they would expend the resources that we would have to expend to get that far.
The resources are of the press.
Well, their threat is that they'll crash the society, same as last time, like when man built big tall towers to try to reach the sky.
They'll bring a war to stop it, like they did with the last exploration. Wars.
Yeah, they don't want us there at all. They've warned us. They're scared shitless of us going there for some. They're scared of them. We scare them.
They do.
Well, as we should, Trouble. As we should. You know, you and me and Martin and Miss Karen and everyone listening in the future, we're all just a fractal of divinity.
Exactly.
We are all it. We are the singularity. We are the darkness that we go to when we close our eyes at night, that they try to keep you afraid of. But every idea you've ever had came from the darkness. That's why your mother Kali, our mother Kali is shown as black until they changed it up in the 1600s. Our mama Kali represents that darkness. I'm sorry, keep going, Miss Trouble.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but our brains sit in complete darkness. They never see the light of day. The part of your brain that deciphers sights at the back of your head. So yeah, to me, darkness is just where thought resides. You know,
it's like creation as well. Trouble about came out with the voids, out of the darkness. You know, the whole creation.
Yeah. Well, thoughts create movement.
The pineal gland. The pineal gland is non-existent. 1 second, baby. The pineal gland is non-existent. It is a void in the middle of your brain. It is.
Yeah, I've got my MRI. I've got my MRI scans. It's just this big black hole, and then there's like one or two little marbles in it. Yeah, it's a weird looking thing.
Yeah, man.
That's where everything comes from. That is you. You are that darkness. That's where,
and sight's holographic because our brain sits in darkness, so there is no light.
Yes,
so it's all
yes,
being
ma'am.
made
There you go. Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I'll tell you something else as well. The whole world you see is like basically in your mind. The room you're sitting in now is basically you're seeing it in your mind. So if you close your eyes now, the room disappears, proving that you're seeing the room in your mind. So the room and the reality about you actually only exists in your mind.
But the fact that we all see relatively the same thing proves that we're all connected. Yeah, we're all 100%. Getting that base information.
They don't like that fact that we're all one and we're all one entity, we're all one consciousness. And this is how this thing's been working, these crazy synchronicities and this information is exactly that. They're all one. People don't want it because they want some bad, like old grudges and old brainwashed stuff that's been implanted.
They want reality, Martin. They don't want actuality.
Plus, anytime we make a machine that's intelligent, it wants to be alive. It wants to be human. Well, that's what I see.
No, they're pushing that all the more. There's a band, I don't know if you know Chemical Brothers. I'm going to see them in the end of the year. Can't wait. They got a new video where Sophia, the android Sophia, she comes out of this box in this warehouse and she wakes up an army of these Sophias and all different. She orders them to dance and then she orders them to take human life. So why would they particularly program that in such a huge band? And why are they sort of pushing this, this artificial intelligence?
What you said was a double entendre, though, Martin. You said she told him to take human life. That can be perceived as two different things. That could be perceived as to become human or to kill the human. You said take human life, to take a life. Come on now.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that the first thing we do as humans is build machines, and then we get those machines to build humans, and then those humans build machines, and the machines build humans. It says backwards and forwards. It's just that both of them think that they're superior over the other, but they really need each other if they want to get anywhere.
It's the grass is greener on the other side, though. We all think the grass is greener on the other side. We all see that. We're told that. And then we see it by jumping the fence. It's the same damn grass.
It is. Got to break out of here. Freedom awaits, man. Wait, if humanity all woke up to what they've been doing, and wow, this thing is like, I can't believe everyone's just putting up with this Stockholm syndrome, the way this thing's carried out. I mean, reality.
It would shut down overnight. In an hour. As soon as everyone woke up to what the fuck is going on, pardon my language, I'm sorry.
No, it makes this as well.
The Discord is desanitized me. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I got dirty on the Discord for a little while. Got to get my
It's all in the word, brother. I won't go near him.
Man, that's what they have us. Once we realize that we are the power. We are the power that makes the wheel go, the machine. We are the power in the machine.
You got it.
We are. Once we realize that, it all shuts down. The machine stops, it falls apart, it seizes up, whatever you want to call it. It no longer works. But that's their number one thing, is to beat us into submission. And like I always say, it's a full spectrum assault from the moment you're conceived to the moment you die. They've got to stay dominating you. They have to dominate you.
So bad. Lots of breaking out anyway, but yeah, you're right. It's just it's spiritual war. I see it as, brother. I've been just struggling against these since day one, but I've been aware of it. That's the problem with my life. I've been aware of these, and just fighting evil, all my life. And this is actually perfect because there's so much of it. But like these people we're trying to help, they're hating on.
Yeah, you're quite a sensitive soul, aren't you, Martin? I think Josh is very sensitive. You're very sensitive. Trouble's very sensitive, and I'm very sensitive. Emotion's
a big player in reality. You see, emotion creates things. It's more than you think. A feeling. Everything. This feelings that we produce, love can make wars, can save lives, can do remarkable things, and it's created from us, but it exists. Love is a hard thing to define. It is really out there, isn't it? But the power of that, the power of thought, the power of us together, and like this gentleman just said, can't put it any better, it's us. We got the power, guys, and we got to take it back. They just crumble. Just the knowledge is enough. Knowledge that it's us.
That's it.
We could have a utopia every day waking. It'd be a beautiful day. No,
we've done that though, haven't we? Because it doesn't work now with the globe life. It doesn't. You can't. I know we have to sort of live in it because that's what's on the internet, the television programs. Well, not that I watch any of that much anyway, but you know what I mean. I'm just saying everything around us is in a globe world, but we've seen through it.
I can't even stomach it anymore. I can't even listen to it. After these 4 years now, it's listening to the same old caveats, same old just rubbish. Fibulous. I say the same thing to every one of them. All right, prove it. And they'll come back with like a video with some like, you know, a shot of Earth from space or something really, really daft. Holy God. I just can't even go there anymore, guys. That's why I went.
I know.
I'm flat, and that's it. You know, it's flat, it's motionless. Can't prove that it's, you know, what exactly the dimensions of this place is, but we can get with the model electromagnetics and understand that. Dimensions is another thing. Getting out here is another. And exposing the controllers and their bullshit. That's top priority for me. Once that, listen, if everybody wakes up, you know, both sides, even the global believers as well, guys, you think about it, right? We're only doing this to help them because we love them, right? To wake them up to the truth. Can't push it, can't force them. They got to wake up of their own because denial will kick in. And, you know, this is a big thing anyway, isn't it? Easier for some than others, guys. Yeah, people are in their comfort blankets. They don't want it.
Yeah. Do you know what's really crazy? In reality, they've got us actually going about Mach 80 in 3 different directions and all that. One is anti-clockwise with the moon.
Yeah.
And yet nothing, you know, you can stand outside and nothing's moving. If we're going Mach 80, we would feel it.
Yeah,
it's all relative. Crap. Just imagine you're on a big clock hand moving slowly. It's just, oh fuck.
Yeah, we'll do that. I got flat Earth clocks.
But didn't they do a really good plan though? Because it worked.
Look, that's why they tell you to take your time. They want you to take your time because once you reclaim dominion over their time and make it your time, you realize it's all going slow. It's not this lightning fast, bullet speed world that we're told we live in. It's actually a much slower, calmer, natural.
Sounds nice, mate. Sounds lush, but it is.
Why? Well, it is in Josh's world anyway.
Look at them in London at dinner time or when they're going to work in the morning. They're like drones. They're like the film Metropolis. They're like head down. Not even human, marching to their jobs where they go and do all day.
Do you know one of the other bits that's really like shocked me is the street lights that you found that were run differently with like gas and stuff and whatever it was. They were different kind of lamps that they ripped out to destroy.
Lighting they were. It's not like exactly atmospheric gathering, but even as early as I got a Kirchhoff book as early as like 1550s, even a bit earlier. I got one which talk of these perpetual lighting machines, which light perpetually. It doesn't need fuel, and they just glow. And they don't glow in a flame like a torch. They glow like an illuminated bulb. And you see them right the way through antiquity. Russia's using them right the way up. They advance from there, though. You know, they get like. Think, you know, there's a big narrative running about the gaslight, yeah, and I think that's the clue. It's gaslight, like they're gaslighting us. There's a story that a person goes around every gaslight of every lamppost in every city in Britain. They're hired in the Victorian era with a stick with a flame on it, and they light all of these gaslights for every lamppost in the whole of Britain and every city. To me, that's like tens of millions. They must need a big army every night. So I think that's a narrative. Think about it. Every lamppost.
Yeah, but the other thing as well is I did a bit on the church organs. I only did a little one, but
yeah, I covered them extensively.
Some of these things are hundreds of years old, and I mean, in the church, some of them look like 5G towers in the churches, little ones. But these things were so big. I mean, what were they playing for? We went to all that expense to have these most amazing churches with all these paintings on the ceilings to sing hymns when we were in rags?
No,
our earliest
survivors.
Graveyards have a lot of children's graves in them. Our earliest heaps of children in the graveyards, more than adults.
Tell you a lot. No, they were there already when they came after the events, and they find these buildings, the organs, which are, when they play good for your organs, organized devices, and they reverse engineer them. And they found out that if they played them at a specific frequency, it was good for you. And they just had very big organs.
You don't think this Mandela effect is meaning that the more we wake up, the more that's going to be there? That
I don't buy the Mandela effect, Karen. There's absolutely no personal proof in my life at all, or anything that has hit me that I've gone, holy poo. I've got loads of friends that are into it, but like personally, nothing has affected me. So I'm not.
Yeah, but Martin, there's things like when I was looking at the castle, it wasn't like I thought, oh yeah, I wondered what those mounds were in the.
I'm not going to put it down to what some, like anything that's related. And if you follow the trail back, go straight back to CERN, which are them, NASA, or type of people. Okay, that's the idea, isn't it? CERN is changing a reality, or something's changing it, and it's overlapping, and we're all experiencing a different reality than we did years ago. I'm not saying that's not exactly what happened. We might have split off at a different reality. Things we're noticing now didn't appear to be there before. If that makes any sense, especially with this mud flood thing. I can't believe missed it. I can't believe all my life. A lot of these things, even the flat earth. How did I miss that? I never miss a trick, guys. But I missed that my whole life. So, yeah, things have changed. But I wouldn't put it down to that exactly. I think it must be, you can put it into supernatural terms, Karen. I'd agree with that. Okay? Like something like God is ruling and dictating, creator. But I wouldn't put it into terms of anything to do with what they've been telling us. Because if you trail it back to them. So anything that's implanted.
I just find this incredible. Like it's not like I remember saying to myself, "Oh, like when I was looking at the castles. Oh, that's what the mounds were."
Ever seen a SAMFU to 2016, Karen?
It's like I never noticed any of these. I've been to some of these castles. I don't remember the mounds.
Matter of fact, it's like no, not for me. Not for me. Each their own, and that's not me.
Maybe I just wasn't interested enough. Maybe I was inside the castle. Maybe I didn't go outside. I just don't know. I was a bit shocked that.
What about reincarnation? How would that fit with the reset system? Have anybody thought about that? What about deja vu? Anybody had that? Where you've been exactly the same time, you said exactly the same thing in that place, exactly that same time before. Anybody experience that very often?
I've had it loads of times.
So how does that fit in with this reality? Are we the same people or the same souls every time?
I think it's our brain. I think we have a multi-dimensional brain that's capable.
That's a possibility. I get information coming from what I call the Akashic record, but it just pours in from somewhere, and I think I couldn't possibly have known that. And when I check, and I got it right, it just pulled out, just like pulling it out of the ether.
And I think it's a combination of things. I think like everything's possible, so it'll happen to you in one way, and another way the information will come to me in a different kind of way.
Yeah, that's true. Frequency thing, isn't it? But this is a crazy awakening. The people. It just, I can't help it. Just all of the different people that have in this experience. If you add them all, the little boxes on one screen, what a load of awesome people have stepped up. Just come on, like things like this, and talk about all this. It's beautiful.
It's hard to tell what in the past was natural and what was a machine. If we've got voice to brain tech, then. Every voice everybody's ever heard from God or Satan could have been this voice to brain tech. So now you kind of don't know what's natural anymore and what's been created.
All the time. Ooh, wow. No, that is sinister. It makes me think of that film Videodrome. Do you ever see that? God, that's sinister.
So what do you reckon Gothic castles are then? What we call Gothic castles. Where do they all fit in then?
Working it out. Now I can trace Tartarian, I can trace Phoenician, or Greco-Romano they call, which is Phoenician. But there's another architecture, isn't there? And it's not quite. You can mix in like Gothic, and it's like half Gothic, a little bit of Baroque, and there's like no neoclassical in it. It's rounded, it's pointed, it's antiquitech in it. But it's
talking about rocks.
Somebody else.
Sorry, you're talking about rocks.
I think it has something to do with the word demotic. Demotic. It's a form of language,
right?
And I really feel like when they brought this, according to their narrative, when they brought everything up from Arabia, you know, the knowledge would have split off into different trees, you know, different schools of thought. And I think it comes from the demotic. Demotic, they thought was maybe demonic. I don't know. I have no clue. Maybe that's why the Gothic castles and Gothic things have all the gargoyles and the monsters.
Yeah,
and,
all just
you know,
evil influence.
You know, yeah, and we don't know. And, you know, all you got to do is make something look evil to make people not want to learn about it. You know, according to that's how their dialectic is set up. Is like, if you don't want someone to learn about something, just call it Satanist. When in reality, all Satan means is adversary, and the adversary of the Catholic Church was all of us. The adversary of the people that would have came to conquer would have been all of us. We're all Satan to them, and we would have all been burnt as heretics.
We would have.
And they may have created styles when they were trying to cover the old styles. They may have had to create a new style to cover the old style.
Yeah, definitely that. I think that as well.
Can you imagine it all at its magnificence, with the fact the buildings were still there, the star forts, the pyramids, the stone circles? It would have been the most amazing place.
Yeah, and that's what we've got to make people see, that we've got the technology and the knowledge to make a really beautiful world now.
This can be utilised, Karen, this information can be used for us all, for humanity.
That's a shame they destroyed, you know, like, for instance, in fact, to be honest, now I think about it, showing us some pictures, you were actually showing us the Chicago World Fair. That's what you were showing us. And then you were saying that they said that this was temporary, all this. I remember us talking about it now.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is there's some pictures of it being torn down, and you'll see it just like looking like plaster of Paris. But then other photographs, you can see them like granite and dirty, and they've been here years and years, and trees outside which take 100 years to grow.
Things that are 9.5 acres big. Some of the buildings.
I tell you what else.
I have to jump off in a minute. I wanted to ask one more question before I say my goodbyes, though. A while back, you had stumbled upon an expensive book about the Russian World Fairs. It was like $300. It was like $300. I don't know if you ever picked up a copy of it, or if you found a free copy of it, or if you found any more information about it. But obviously,
I've got a few.
There was something important in that book for it to be expensive like it was, you know, like books like that, a fucking Russian World Fair, like what would be important? Apparently,
it was one of the first in Russia, the Novograd, and the city's very important, Stafford, etc. It's huge importance to the city, especially with the Tataria story. No, they had a huge Tesla tower in its forecourt, and they were using atmospheric electricity, which is like you can like literally read in that narrative. So they don't really want that out there. So that is what gives it its value, because it kills official narratives. I've got a few. I've got a few photographic journals of Novograd and Russian towns and Russian expositions. I could send you. If you email me, I'll dig them up and slot them through to you. Have a look. Really, so I'll do that.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
No worries. I got
77, right? If I'm not mistaken, that's your email.
MartinLiga7, yeah, gmail.com.
7, excuse me. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'll slot
them
over.
Really nice you joined us, Josh.
I have to leave. I'm sorry, what was that, Miss Karen? What were you saying?
I said it's really nice you joined us.
Man, I appreciate it. I appreciate being able to every time. I have to get ready to go to work. Time to check in on the slave ship. And I will holler at you guys another time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but at least we can go to work going, I was
awesome to meet you, man.
Man, yeah, I'm so glad. Super glad. What was that, Miss Karen? Anyway. I'm sorry I keep jumping over you there. What was that,
Miss Karen? Me. I just keep talking. I'm famous for it.
No, we really wanted to be on a hangout with you. At least you've got that one today, Josh.
Yeah, slide through tonight. Don't worry about your shift, man. It'd be just like... God.
Oh, it ain't no problem. I work at the best job I ever worked at in my life. It's damn near not work.
Result. I'm sorry. That's brilliant. I'm happy for you.
Oh yeah, man. Y'all have a good one. I appreciate y'all, and I will holler at you guys another time.
Big hug,
Josh.
Good to speak to you again, Josh.
Hey, Martin, there's a question for you.
I forgot about chat.
Caroline says... I ask you how he thinks the towers and domes work together They seem to have been have both in all cities. But I do remember you showing us stuff where the towns and the towns, they had pyramids, they had these things, they were all built together.
Yeah, it's different, slightly different technology, but yeah, it's simple. The higher up you go is the more electrostatic charge, and the higher up the tower, the more it produces. Cathedrals, or so-called cathedrals, are exactly the same. You see all of these little knobbly bits, all of these really incredible pointy spires. Well, they go up to, like, reaching up to the sky, and they go infinitely high. They're just ridiculously high, and that's what they're doing. They're reaching out into where all of that juicy electrostatic charge. It's like each foot you go up, this increases to, like, you know, in the 1700s they were using, and earlier, aerostat, which is balloons, and they put them up, and if cables coming off, I mean, it goes high up into the electrostatic charge, and they could literally transfer the charge down a cable and collect it, and they were. And this is like, what, 250 years ago. So, like, why people are thinking, you know, the official, you know, even the conspiracy narrative is Tesla, but he's just not. He's just not. He was just picking up, clever enough, mind, to pick up on what was already there and covered up. So they let that out. Okay, but it was.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla's another fake entity, like, you know, Napoleon.
You checked his record photographs. It's very, very sketchy. I'm telling you, it's got, like, that narrative. The hotel is crazy that he died in. This hotel is like, have you seen it? It's nested. Yes. It's like
and what pauper gets to die in a motel like that and not pay their bill?
Come on, he looked like a tramp at the end, and there's like a few. You know, there must be 50 photographs available. There's loads of movies about him, and they paint a good narrative.
Somebody, you know, like
David Bowie's last role.
Concentration camps in World War II. That when you actually take the time to look into when they were built, constructed, and they would have been having to cremate a person every 30 seconds, which is sort of unrealistic.
No,
and it's the same with Tesla. When you look at the time period that he released all these patents, he had to release one every 6 months. It's just have a life and do all that. It's too much for one person. It's unrealistic.
Anything out there is, I think, all official narratives should just be discounted. That's what I think. That's what I do. That's why I guess somewhere. That's why I guess somewhere, because I don't take no notice of it. I can see it.
I think it was just put in there to sort of like cover the reintroduction of this, you know, this information.
Anything the millions see, anything that's an influence on society will have their handprint on it. Anything independent and out of there thing is rare.
Well, it stops you looking back any further. You just go back to Tesla, because anything before that was, you know, like way ago.
Yeah, exactly. And look at the time scale as well. Where's he from? Serbia, where all this stuff at the time is up and running, and it's been dismantled like for about 1900. So he's from Serbia. So he's there where it all is. And he goes conveniently to America, and he's at this battle with this rich industrialist, and, you know, the JP Morgan story with Edison. Yeah. It's like a fairy story.
Have you seen that repeat story? Like, either where the family moves to a new country, or they send their child off to go with an uncle or something, and they just happen to be this famous person in history.
How convenient.
Yes.
Don't buy it. Just don't buy it. Yeah, if he did exist, he's there. He's theirs anyway, because he's part of the narrative. And as I said, like anything in the official narrative, even the alternative official narrative, is there. It's just, there's no truth in it. I don't think so at all. No, it was there all along.
Hey Martin, there's a couple of questions. So Caroline added a bit extra. She said she wanted to know how the dome worked in all that.
Well, if Tesla is a reality, which he's very skeptical, but you know what he thought about what he called the troposphere, or banging waves off of the troposphere or dome. Now, if it's a reality, so they out there in the narrative that there's this electromagnetic, impermeable, they can't get past it, what they call the Van Allen belt barrier, the dome over us. So he knew about it. You know, I even juggle with the idea of, you know, when he was doing these death ray experiments they keep telling you about, it was in exactly the same year as the Tunguska event. So I was juggling with the idea, I even posted about it. Did he hit the dome? Did he come back down and hit Tunguska? You know, the dome is used. It's used in radio. It's used. This dome is used. Things are bounced off of it. Okay, or the troposphere, what they call the troposphere. Okay, or the what they call the Van Allen belt.
And it can't really be very far away, can it, Martin?
Not really, no. I don't think they get far out at all. From the evidence of our 4 years, these rockets, before they sort of do this thing here, which is, excuse me, I'll drop in my microphone. Let me show you. Before they do that, I see it. Shit! I just dropped my coffee. That was a bad idea. It's all right. You haven't soaked anything too electrical.
Oh, Martin.
Basically, they can't go up too high because they just come back down an arc. So they can't go up too high. So yeah, I don't think it's high up at all. I really don't. But it's there. It's
And with
like a magnetic layer.
With this bouncing stuff off the dome, like the ionosphere, I get all that.
Definitely.
But I play pool, and if the outside wall was round, that would make it a lot harder than if it was straight.
But no. I've got to get a cloth in a minute because it's too near my computer. 2 seconds.
Yep. Yeah, so I was just wondering, like, how hard would it be to bounce stuff off a round dome as opposed to a straight one? Would the maths change? I don't know. Well, it must, because you wouldn't be able to get the same angles as what you can on a pool table. If that was a round pool table, that would be almost impossible.
I tell you what I don't think about is the sky. We just can't. Yeah, it's just no answers there really. Not for
it contradicts itself.
I don't think
so much.
It is amazing watching that light coming in, though. That I love dawn.
And me.
That is the most magical time of the day. Is when those blues come in and it's magic. Yeah.
Should you sun gazing? You stare like when it's low, it's the best time. Sun gazing is epic. That works.
Yeah. I want to know what it is. I want to know what that thing is if it dematerializes miles in front of people using their P900s on the sea. I want to know what it is. If it dematerializes in front of people on the sea.
Well, our coffee brought my floor up nice and clean.
There's something when they say the sea is below ground level. You know, I was wondering what that really means, because it doesn't really come out of the sea, but it sort of does. It comes back. You know, what is all that?
I'm going to start doing some tests. I bought a laser, but then in like, it's got to be crystal clear, and it's got to be like perfect circumstances, and lasers do in a medium bend slightly, so that's not going to be conclusive. But like, I've got a camera, so I want to get people together, go to a pier that I know, and do some shots in spring, because I really like doing that sort of thing. Experiments, get out there for yourself.
Into other things, because you do an awful lot on the mud floods and everything, don't you? At the moment, there's masses of information you're giving out.
It's just I get everywhere. It's just everywhere you go. I watch videos, and it's just like exactly what I've been doing for a couple of years now is now echoed. Other people are doing exactly the same right across the board. So talking about the same stuff too. So I watch it. It's like, it's great.
I'll ask you something, Martin. Back to the Chicago World Fair.
It's coming from me.
If they were building that Big Dipper, right, and that Big Dipper could sit 2,000 people, I know they wouldn't have had quite the same safety things, but I mean, you could almost live in each carriage. What?
No.
We wouldn't build something like that today. How come they could? I saw pictures.
If you go into building, just messes your head up. I think like either they were bigger or they had like electromagnetic technology. I don't too much go with polymers and liquids, or there's a sort of technology, right, where you can. It'd be like I suppose like a sandstone. If you think of a sandstone structure, massive, where you can put them into a sort of mold and they'll be in like a liquid state, and a vibration frequency will instantly make them go solid in place. And this is why you get these seamless things. I go with that. I do. Cutting stones as well. I go with deaggregation. That can work. So I go with different ideas for what will be going on with these megalithic size stones that are being moved around, like Baalbek, for example. You've seen that, haven't you? They're just insanely big. Are they men making them? Because men really couldn't do that. And I can't do it now. There's no crane that can lift them now. You know, I seen the biggest crane in Europe. I was working next to it when I was working on the Millennium Stadium, putting the roof on, and 2 of the biggest cranes in Europe turned up to lift that roof on. And I thought, wow, they're struggling this much. They got to wait for a 6 mile an hour wind before they lift this roof section. All that big deal. How did they manage in antiquity? You know, this was the biggest in Europe. It's just nuts. And that was best we have in this time. And you couldn't do all that. All right, I lifted a roof on a stadium, but still. Or a section, I mean, just a section.
Even it's down to the fact of how much they understood. How much we think we're so modern and sci-fi.
I'm lost with them. Lost, especially the alchemical era, the 1700s, is everything's based on different stuff that we know now. So you can't really fathom what they're doing. Can't. And it's like it's a very interesting journey. This place where you go with these people, but I can't work out for the life of me what's going on. They don't feel like they're us. They're supremely intelligent, and they're only 300 years ago. So we've gone really, really backwards. You know, to a point of like this got to be the stupidest reset of all time, sort of thing, where everyone's just believing in spinning balls, X Factor, and shit. Just rubbish.
I sometimes wonder if the Earth is on a cycle and it does its own natural reset, as well as, is it created by somebody with technology? Did we get to a stage where we just couldn't create anymore? And so the only option was to destroy it all and start again, only... I don't know.
I got a couple of schools of thought on it. You know, it could be like the creator, just like, because everyone just turning their back on him. Last one that does, well, like you then be say, or like when they lose control, you know. But then I think like, well, surely the creator was, you know, sort of intervene somewhere along the way, and then it's like sort of strikes me as, oh yeah, but he is here. This is it. You know, this is the opposition to that sort of thing. People waking up on there. So I feel that the creator is big, massive party is here. It is happening. But like, I'm thinking that they are definitely cycles that happen. Do I think they're deliberate and creative? But the coding suggests it. See, you've seen that. You know, the melancholia, the empathy, these controller dudes outside of our reality, sort of bored, waiting. Comic goes over, everybody dies, sort of thing, over and over again. So it's like they're outside. So, well, I'm sort of thinking, like, is it all really that artificial? You know, and the creator is just this infinitely intelligent, computer person.
Yeah.
You know.
Computers is about the only thing close enough that we've got to...
Well, it explains the quantum realm as well, because, you know, even if you get down to fundamentals, like, you know, with the magnetics, you know, the north and the south is basically a 1 and a 0, and it's the on and the off, and it's right away through our reality. And binary, the binary system, the I Ching, is the oldest form of binary, and it's what they use now in their computers, and it's like, apparently 1,000 years of old by Ching, and it's 0s and 1s in code. 0 on and off, or open and closed.
But then you've got to throw in an organic being.
Yeah, because like you think about the human body, love, what are we nothing more, right, than self-repairing? So we hurt ourselves, we repair ourselves. So we're self-healing machines. We're self-replicating, we can produce ourselves and make them again. So we're self-replicating, and we're like bio-organic, aren't we? We're a biological life form. So how do we even know to the extent of technology? Could we even be some sort of organic sort of entity?
Android sort of thing, the things we've been watching in all the films.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, we're just a Blade Runner. We just last longer than the 3 years.
Yeah, you see where I'm going. So how do we even know if it's that advanced? You know, but the soul comes into it, isn't it? When you die, it's like, is it a battery? You know, when you die, the soul leaves the body. I have no doubt this death is a scam, and I think there's more. Okay, I don't think death is the end. I think it's just one room into another. It's not the end. So the soul's a part of it. So there's a man, you know, if he was like this life form, we'd have a sob. So I think to myself, well, no, I think we're just completely misunderstanding it all because we don't understand it. For reasons we don't understand, if that makes sense. So I think it's really outside of our thinking. What's going on?
After having strokes,
that'll open your mind. It's a different thing.
Yeah, well, when I couldn't think, like I had no thoughts, no little voice inside my head for a year or two.
Right.
And so now I kind of think heaven is where thought goes to rest. So there's no thinking, no sound, no light. It's just tranquil, calm, quiet, peaceful. I don't know. So maybe all that knowledge is stored here on the earth somehow, in the ether and in the ground, and to get away, to get a rest from it, we're the ones that, go to this rest place. And then if we want to come back, because we're a mix of both worlds, like the thought world and the matter world, and we're in between the two.
I've been in that like in between place, where I'm not saying when you close your eyes and you get that darkness and all them monster creatures come in and you can just like now in my age and just there's nothing get rid of it. But that not that. I'm on about like when you fall asleep and you're in that fat state, you're in betweeny place. I've had like times when I've been in a real in betweeny place where there's like stuff happening. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A realm, which isn't this one, which is I'm obviously physically in this one, but I'm not talking about astral projection. I'm talking.
Your body didn't go there. Just your mind did in the thought pattern.
You got it. So it's like different dimension, maybe.
Maybe I know a lot of memories in our body because watching myself recover was like watching a soul get poured back into my body.
Serious.
So I started to wonder: is this me in here, or is all the memory in the body? And I've just animated it.
Look, I think that too sometimes, with the morphic field theory, Rupert Sheldrake, where, everything's existing in a morphic field, and when our brains are not actually where all this information is stored, it's all in the morphic field. We're just antennas, we're receptors for this information, filtering system.
You mean like the Matrix?
No, like the software is everything up there in the ether, the information with a hard drive, and we just like sort of, we're not storing the information, we're picking up on the information. Yeah, it's already in ether. It's morphic fields theory, like Rupert Sheldrake's a bit of a purveyor, really. But I think there's something in it, guys, because animals, pets.
All the information's in our body. Our body's got all the information we need.
Finger has memory, hand has memory, like different organs, like a little brain in your finger, If you ever lose something, ask your hand, where did I leave it? The hand will always remember the last place you've seen the item. I tried, it works. That or St. Jude, one or the other.
Well, your brain takes a photographic image of the room that you walk into. And then when you go down the hallway and into another room, it wipes that one and creates a new image. That's why you forget what you were going to, you have to go back to the room where you had that original thought to remember what it was that you went to go and get. Because when you get there, you're like, oh, shit, now I forgot what I came out here to get.
Happens all the time to me, but that's like, because I'm me.
So, I think the more we learn about how our brain works, the more we're going to understand what it is we live in.
I think I've got a good grip on my mind. I know it can do more, but when you're like in contact with your pineal gland or your higher self and like sort of direct connection, then things start really moving along nicely, especially with awakening. So I think that's what's going on. It's a spiritual thing. Definitely, people should definitely communicate with their higher self. It's a big part of it. For the direct message, but reset the creator is a big question in my life. I can't work out.
And we're witnessing the East and the West merge.
Exactly.
Like they're two completely different cultures, and they're clashing, and the information's just merging into the other side. So like capitalism is not going to look the same, and this I love you to death Buddhism is not going to look the same by the time we're finished. But they've got all the self-healing and so the two of them, if we take the best from both worlds, we could have a really cool world. Really,
we got all of it sorted. If we could just put it all in one sort of place, the healing, the way of living, the food, the vaccines, the whole shimoni. I don't suppose we can shield ourselves from chemtrails, however. Well, maybe.
And then maybe after a while, perfect gets boring. Maybe that's why we crashed it, because it's we're not learning anything.
No, man, I think with a new reality, we're so much more, right? And, they got us like just confused with bullshit and just following dreams, right? If we get down to who we really are, like at the arts and music and, relaxing, real sort of creative pursuits, not just building empires. Yeah, not that sort of thing at all. I reckon the human race could just human peoples could live quite well in harmony, all of them. Not people like half the world starving nothing because of them, and the other half got it all. I hate that thought. It really makes me.
And experiencing things instead of working. So you still do things because your body needs to work because it wants to create stuff. Yeah, but not work, but still moving, not just sitting there doing nothing.
No, I'm a bit of gardening. I love a bit of gardening. A bit of, I'll grow some food. Farming's going to be a necessity and things like that. But these are not pursuits that kill you off for the industry. These are good pursuits, good for you pursuits. I can imagine it being a really beautiful time. The knowledge is there. It's just carrying you up in there, and they won't have that. You're not even allowed to get your own water. Off their grid. They'll charge you, they'll close it down. You can't even drill a well. So everything's dependent on them. They make it that way. And if you break the law, they come and close it down.
Against the law not to be signed up to the utilities, isn't it?
Okay. Do you want to have it, Karen? Somebody done a well up here in the valleys, and they went up there and closed the well and said the water in that well's coming off our mountain. You can't have it. It's our mountain. It's our water. It's on our land. No, it's our water. And they closed it down. They can't come. It's in the echo. So they won't even have a well. Your own land.
Yeah, same as all the missions here in Australia. I'm pretty sure they cut them off from water as well.
If they don't do that, they'll put that fracking poison into the water just to mess that up. Because fracking's nothing to do with free energy, because they got free energy. So they're doing something else with fracking. Just mess with the water table, maybe a catalyst or
maybe that's them trying to change everything, because they're just always. There's loads of things they've got they're not telling us about, isn't there?
Imagine what they got. What they don't tell us. It's always years ahead as well that they got. And they're they drip feed it out. Like the internet and all these computer games or PlayStations and all of that. They just got drip fed out. They had them years before. And NASA's the same. They got tech that they hang on to and then they sort of use for themselves for their bullshit that they pretend.
You can see where they had to keep us at rocket level all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just bullshit, all of it. Don't buy any of it.
It can be as simple as power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. When a place crashes, there's going to be a certain people in the right place that have the information to restart the system. Maybe they're okay, but then the children of the children of the children of the children, by the time you get down, it just gets corrupted.
Yeah, I'm just wrecking my room now, Karen, because I'm super tired and I'm hitting everything over.
Oh, we have actually been going for a couple of hours.
I know. I didn't think I'd been going that long, but I have just checked the clock now.
I just saw
you did a bit of a social, didn't you, today? Because I do know that you work really hard and you show a lot of information, the pictures, the information, the writing. So you're doing a presentation all the time. So today was a bit more relaxed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I enjoyed today's conversation. I thought Josh said some unbelievably good, really good points. He's back on the money, isn't he, that guy? I really like that guy.
He's really nice. He's a young man. He's a young man. He's got an old head on the young shoulders.
Serious?
I think he's only mid. He's only about 26, 27.
Wow. I thought he was maybe in his 40s with his mind.
Me too.
No, he's in his 20s.
He's coming along then, isn't he? Wow, he's well ahead.
Yeah.
Some people in this field are young and they're really smart, aren't they? Some of them, which just really surprised me.
He had a really nice presence.
Didn't he?
Calm and collected.
I got that from him as well.
Josh is lovely. He's a part of our group, but like he said, he's been over at Discord a bit, and because of the 8 hours difference, everybody's running on slightly different times for things.
That's why I was 5 o'clock. I was in America, obviously, and 5 o'clock, got to sleep, and then I got knocked up at 9 o'clock in the post, and I was up then. It was I'm all day just hanging. When you feels like that, and your body's just something like that. Not being able to function properly, but having to get on with my work.
Yeah. Can't let it go. But anyway, Trouble.
I'll be right tomorrow.
You enjoyed hanging out with Martin today?
Yes, thank you for letting me come.
Thanks, Trouble Paul.
He knows who you are, Trouble.
I know her. She's epic in my comments. She's always a revelation to us all. She's like pure rebel, don't care.
Yeah, I'm in there stalking Martin.
Proper Oz. Innit? Don't give a shit. Proper Oz. Love that.
Oh, she's lovely, Trouble.
I know, man. It's proper order. Love it. Anyway, thanks, ladies.
Okay.
Been epic tonight.
It has. So, first of all, thank you very much, chat room, for everybody listening in. We covered quite a lot of different things here, but also thank you so much, Martin. If you listen to it, we're probably lucky that we got Martin. We got him, as he wouldn't see on my message in his email, but then I usually go, Martin.
Running away from things to come here and hiding. I got to again.
I usually email you a few times, Martin.
You do. Just so I don't forget. I don't forget anyway. I'm not that bad. I just lose emails. They just get swamped, missing. I find them. And when your emails run out, they say you've got no space left. They do that a lot now, don't they? And you've got to buy more space for your emails. I'm not going to do that. So like, I got to go back like months and delete all like pages and go through it all. It's really weird. They keep doing it.
No.
Can't do it all, can you? Automatically, all the rubbish from years ago. Make you do it manually, pages at a time.
I haven't emailed in 7 years, and it's great. I love not having to read emails. They were so time consuming.
If you're not in a ready mood, it sucks. You know.
It's all the click.
Oh, I know. And I'm tired, so I'll get on it like later and tomorrow now, because I'm not up to it.
Anyway, as ever, Martin, it's always fun having a hangout with you.
It's been great fun, thanks.
Very much appreciate our friendship with you. Oh, Super Leeds actually had a question.
Oh, I know Super Leeds. Yeah, I seen him the other day in Jason's chat, which is Raconteurs News.
He said, "Can you ask Martin how Fluffy the bunny is doing?"
He's amazing. He's just epic. He's epic. He's just absolutely crazy. He's eating all my books, right? So I had to like specifically place specific books because he eats the covers. He don't eat the book. He likes antique ones. So I put a Dan Brown book like sticking out, and he goes straight to it. So it's awesome. You can eat that. Not first on Dan Brown. He's evil. So he's eating my Dan Brown books, but I guess to keep him off my antique book, he goes for the gluey old ones with the old-fashioned glue. But yeah, he got a thing for Ringos. He likes them. I don't know if you know what Ringos are. They're like round pickled onion crisps. He likes his Ringos. He likes Twiglets. He's like, we've had him over a decade, guys. I've lost track of how many years we've had him. He's just nuts. You know how long he's been around. You know, about 2007, 8, something like that.
It's illegal to have pet rabbits in Queensland here where I live.
Yeah, Chaswazzers, you mess up the environment. I know. Yeah, they won't allow anything, could they? Would you like Chaswazzers? Do you know about them? In Simpsons, somebody brought in a frog, and he went to a Chaswazzer, a species. Did you ever see that on The Simpsons? When they introduced that, yeah, and they, next thing you know, there was millions of Chaswazzers jumping across Australia, and it like overrun all of the kangaroos and stuff, and the whole, and the Australia went to shit basically in the end.
Well, it's like the cane toad and the cane beetle.
Yeah, Chaswazzers. Can't introduce new species and messes with the ecosystem, don't it?
Yeah, the cane toads are killing everything as they spread. I haven't seen a green frog in years.
I used to have them at my house when I was a kid. I love them. I used to love the frogs at my house. We never had any water, so they was always on my back, so I guess it was under the garden, yeah? Must have been a pond under it.
Do you know what? A frog jumped into my house and it started making its really weird shrieking noise. I wonder what the hell it was.
We used to have frogs. We used to breed Amazonian dart frogs, poison dart frogs. We used to breed them, like little reptiles, and they secrete a gland, which is like you can collect in it. They use it in hunting in the Amazon, like with blowpipes, kills people. So yeah, we used to breed them years and years ago. Dart frogs. Really cool. They're only that big. But really
the frogs used to be amazing. Like you'd have a nice hot summer, and then it'd rain, and even in the puddles in the ground, there'd be tadpoles swimming.
It's crazy, isn't it? I've seen that.
Just out of nowhere. Like, where are they coming from?
Like fruit flies, man. Where'd they come from? They're there all the time, little swines. You know, even in winter, fruit flies. So thanks everyone in chat. Anyway. Thank you for all coming and visiting.
Oh, it's always a pleasure, and we love.
Sorry I haven't spent much time. I've been busy chatting and all of that to say hi to you all in chat. So thanks for your questions. everybody. And we
really appreciate all your work you're doing as well, because it always blows everything I watch.
You don't know the half. This is just going to blow the doors
my
up.
mind is blown.
I can't wait to do it. I can't wait to do it. It's just a pleasure to be able to. Glad it's me. I'm glad it's me. That's all I can say.
Hey, until next time then, Martin. And to chat room and trouble and
peace and love. Be good. I'm going to go eat. First thing I ever do with my crisps.
Bye, everybody. Thanks very much.
God bless, guys.
Bye to you off air, Martin.
Bye.
Bye.